Hello, my name is Amber and I'm on the autistic spectrum.
I'm Oliver and I'm a residential support worker.
What does sensory sensitivity mean to you?
My senses are often either hypersensitive, so my sense of touch is extremely sensitive, and these lanyards that we get, I can't wear them on my neck, otherwise it physically hurts.
The smell of things can be a problem, so like there's decorating going on underneath my flat and I can smell the paint up above from my room, and I can also hear the sander and the scraping of the sander.
Or my senses are undersensitive. I don't know I'm hungry until I'm physically starving sometimes, because I don't get those same signals inside my body and my mind that tell me. And sometimes when I'm getting dressed in the morning, it takes me a while because certain clothing textures can be fine one day, then the next day I'll wake up and put it on and it's not an okay texture that day.
So how do you manage sensory sensitivities?
Sometimes we'll go to my mum's because she lives around the corner if it's too much, or I'll find somewhere quiet.
Oftentimes I will isolate myself, like I'll go into a quiet room and lock the door and just sit with myself to kind of de-stress. And oftentimes the students that we work with do the exact same thing. Oftentimes the best way to help is just to let them manage it on their own and de-stress and just give them that time in a quiet room where they can just be with themselves. Every time you work with someone new, you have to figure out how they react to situations and how they de-stress from situations.
So are there tools, environments or routines that help you to feel more regulated?
Well, going outside really helps, as I can stop what I'm doing, and doing jigsaw puzzles helps me to wind down and relax.
Something as simple as a pair of headphones or like big ear defenders. I can still hear my friends talking, but the external noise that makes it challenging is lowered so much that I can actually cope then with that situation and enjoy it.
So how do you experience communication differently from non-autistic people?
So I believe everyone has different communication needs. For example, for me, I find it difficult to give eye contact. Using simple language helped me to understand what is being said, and using easy reads helps me as well.
The nuance of words and phrases can be quite difficult for me to pick up on. So if I'm joking around with somebody I don't know very well, and I don't know their cues for joking, I'll often take things quite personally because I don't know that they're having a laugh. And sometimes I'll sit later by myself and go, they were joking with me, weren't they?
Well, it's raining cats and dogs, so I used to believe that it was really raining and cats and dogs were falling from the sky.
Say the cherry on top. I took the language literally, so I was like, what do you mean the cherry on top is the best bit? It's not a cherry.
When we said about handling money, I thought about literally handling money when it was like managing money.
As I've gotten older, I've had to memorize these phrases to kind of figure out what they mean. It's not as simple as just, oh, this means this. It's, I have to go, but saying this, it doesn't actually mean this, it means this instead. And it can be very difficult for me because I'm like, why don't you just say what you mean instead of using this phrase?
What kind of social situations do you find challenging and which ones do you find enjoyable?
Going to parties that have loud music, I find this a challenge and makes me feel really uncomfortable. And I like going on trips out with my friends and doing lots of different activities with my friends that are planned activities.
So oftentimes when me and my friends hang out, we might not have the energy to do something big. So we'll often do what we call parallel play, where we'll sit in the same room playing a game. We're not talking to each other. And from the outside, it might look like we're just ignoring each other, but it's really fun for us and it helps us bond in a way that's not stressful.
What helps you feel more comfortable in social situations?
Knowing who is going to be there and being clear about what time and where, and a contact number for who we're going to meet really helps.
If somebody knows me well and can understand how I'm feeling and how I communicate, and if they're on the same level as me, so if I'm quiet, I don't want to be asked loads of questions or be talked at a lot. So if someone just sits next to me and is quiet as I'm quiet, it can kind of help me come out of my shell a bit. They kind of understand me and how I'm feeling.
So can you share an example of how routines or structure help you?
So at work, I go through my diary with my line manager and then put things in my diary so I know what tasks I need to do. Also, my regular commitment's really important to me, so then I know what my week is looking like.
Routines and structure really help me when it comes to figuring out my day and how I'm going to feel. So if I know what I'm doing that day, really, really helps me because I know what to expect. I know what energy level I need for the day. And then if there's a change in that routine, it can really disrupt my entire sense of how I feel inside.
What challenges have you faced with flexible thinking or adapting to change?
So during lockdown, I was living in supported living, and I found it really hard because the rules were different from everywhere else.
I know what I'm doing for work, for example, and then something gets changed, I get moved, and I'll still be able to do it, but inside I'll be really, really anxious and I'll need a lot more fidget toys or a lot more of my support strategies to help me get through it.
I found this a real big challenge because I didn't know what to do and which rules to follow.
Rules for me are either I follow them, so say if they make sense to me, like a speed limit, I will make sure everyone else around me is following it, and it can be a bit annoying for people around me, but it's only because I'm following the rule how I see it literally. If a rule doesn't make sense to me, say something like a social hierarchy that's just about how people are born, I will not follow it at all. I will disregard it because in my brain it's, what are we doing that for? It makes no sense, so I'm just not going to do it. When I was in school and there were like teachers above me, I was like, you're just a person like me. Why are you above me? Literally, you are just a person. I'm just a person. We're equal.
What support strategies have helped you or could help others?
Giving plenty of notice if things change so it doesn't affect my routine.
For me, processing information is easiest when it's the only piece of information I have to process. If I'm in a situation where there's a lot of noise, there's a lot going on, and someone says something to me, it can take about 5 seconds for me to actually fully understand what they're saying. I say it's almost like a lag when you're playing like a computer game. It's got all this stuff to process. If it can't focus on one thing, it has to process it all at the same time, and it can cause quite a bit of delay. That's basically how my brain works when it comes to processing lots of different information. When I was a young child, my parents kind of figured out if we were doing something big, like going out somewhere for a day out, they would tell me 2 days in advance. Any longer kind of advance I had, I would be ruminating on it and stressing about it a lot. Any sooner, and it would feel like a massive change, and I wouldn't be able to cope.
If you could give one piece of advice to new members of staff coming into Seashell about working with autistic people, what would it be?
Get to know the individual so they can support them to achieve the best outcomes they can in life.
When you're figuring out how to support somebody, there's going to be a lot of trial and error. You're going to get it wrong at some point, and you just have to keep trying and try and figure out what works for that person.